So, uh, when you picture a digital break-in, you'd probably imagine this classic Hollywood movie scene.
Oh, yeah. The guy in the dark hoodie in a basement somewhere.
Exactly. And there's this giant, impenetrable steel vault door,
Right.
and that door represents your password. And the hacker is furiously typing away, just trying billions of combinations to pick that one digital lock.
It's a very comforting mental model, isn't it?
It really is.
Because it implies that if you just, buy a heavier, thicker steel door, like a stronger password, you are entirely safe.
But I mean, what if I told you the robbers aren't even looking at the vault door anymore?
Yeah, they've moved on entirely.
Right. What if, while you were busy polishing that invincible lock, they found a microscopic crack in the concrete foundation, poured in some liquid nitrogen, and just shattered the entire floor?
Which is terrifying. But yeah, that is exactly what is happening in cloud security today.
Yeah. It's wild. And in a newly released March 2026 threat intelligence report from Google, which was covered brilliantly by Bill Toulis at Bleeping Computer, by the way, the data is just crystal clear.
The rules have fundamentally changed.
Completely flipped on their head.
Yeah.
So in this deep dive, we are unpacking why traditional defenses are suddenly failing, how the attackers have shifted their entire strategy, and what this means for the photos, emails, and data you store online every single day.
Because the game of cat and mouse between tech giants and threat actors, it's evolved into this high-stakes chess match.
Oh, absolutely.
And right now, the attackers are playing on an entirely different board.
Okay, so let's unpack this, because the numbers in this Google report tell a massive story all on their own.
They really do. The macro data is staggering.
Yeah. So in the second half of 2025, the primary way hackers got through the front door just flipped.
Right.
Exploiting software vulnerabilities became the #1 attack vector. It accounted for 34.5% of all intrusions.
Wow.
Meanwhile, relying on stolen credentials and misconfigurations, the old way of doing things, the password guessing, that dropped down to just 27%.
But that is a massive inversion. I mean, for decades, compromised passwords were the undisputed king of unauthorized access.
The path of least resistance.
Exactly. It was just easier.
But the report specifically points out that these remote code execution, or RCE flaws, are the new golden ticket.
Yes, RCEs are everywhere right now.
Now, for anyone listening who isn't, a software engineer, remote code execution basically means a hacker finds a loophole that lets them run their own commands on your computer from halfway across the world.
Right. They aren't logging in. They're just giving your machine orders directly.
Yeah. And they call out specific bugs in the report, like something called React 2 shell and an XWiki flaw. What are we actually talking about here?
So think of XWiki, for example. It's the collaborative software companies use to build their internal company wikis or, knowledge bases.
Okay, like where employees share internal documents and stuff.
Exactly. And by finding a flaw in that specific software, the attackers are essentially finding a forgotten back window into the corporate network.
A window the security team didn't even realize was unlatched.
Precisely. And they use that specific XWiki flaw to build something called the RondoDocs botnet.
Which is what exactly?
It's a massive network of infected machines that are now entirely under their control.
Oh, wow. Which brings me back to my home security analogy.
Right?
Because for years, the cybersecurity industry has been screaming at us to buy better locks.
Use complex passwords, right?
Yeah. Turn on two-factor authentication, set up biometric passkeys on our phones, all of it.
And we did.
We did, and now that we finally have these unbreakable locks, the burglars have just decided to bring a sledgehammer and smash right through the drywall by exploiting the software itself.
Yeah, they're just bypassing the door entirely.
So let me ask the uncomfortable question here. Are our strong passwords actually forcing hackers to become more dangerous?
Well, what's fascinating here is that Google's assessment aligns perfectly with that theory.
Really?
Yeah. This shift isn't happening because hackers suddenly forgot how to steal a password.
Right.
It is actually a byproduct of our own security success.
So our defenses are working almost too well.
In a way, yes. The industry's push toward secure by default strategies, where things are locked down from the moment you turn them on, it's working.
And mandatory multi-factor authentication.
Exactly. We have successfully raised the barrier to entry. But threat actors, they operate like highly motivated businesses.
They have quotas to meet.
Right. When the cheap, easy route of guessing a password becomes too expensive, or, frankly, mathematically impossible, they don't just give up and go home.
They pivot.
They pivot their research and development. They are now forced to hunt for deep, complex bugs in the actual architecture of the software we use every day.
So because they can't pick the lock, They look for flaws in the way the house was built.
Exactly.
And because they are relying on these newly discovered flaws, the whole timeline of an attack has changed.
This is the scary part.
It really is. Here's where it gets really interesting. The report shows that the exploitation window, which is the time between a software flaw being discovered by the good guys and hackers actively using it to break in it, has completely collapsed.
It's basically gone.
Yeah. We aren't talking about a window of weeks anymore. It's down to a matter of days.
In some instances, it's even faster than that.
Wait, how fast are we talking?
Well, Google observed hackers deploying crypto miners within 48 hours of a vulnerability being disclosed to the public.
48 hours?
Yes.
How is a human IT team supposed to patch a whole company's software infrastructure in 2 days?
They can't. It's almost impossible.
And you mentioned crypto miners, meaning the hackers break in and silently use the company's computer servers to mine cryptocurrency for themselves, right?
Right. Which drives up the company's electric and cloud computing bills astronomically.
That's insane.
It's a race against the patch. The moment a software company announces, hey, we found a bug, here's the fix, the hackers instantly reverse engineer that announcement.
To figure out what the bug actually is.
Exactly. And they start scanning the entire internet for anyone who hasn't applied the fix yet.
But despite this frantic, high-speed race to get in before the patch is applied, their ultimate goal once they arrive has totally shifted.
Yes, the objective is entirely different now.
They aren't trying to be fast once they're inside. They actually want to be invisible.
Which is a huge change from a few years ago.
Right. The report notes they're moving away from loud, immediate extortion, like the ransomware attacks that, lock up a hospital's computers until a ransom is paid.
We used to see that constantly.
Constantly. But now they're focusing instead on the silent exfiltration of massive data volumes.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you can really see the strategic brilliance of this shift.
How so?
Well, the speed of entry is purely out of necessity, right? They have to beat the security team's patch.
Okay.
But the stealth, once they are inside, that is purely about maximizing their return on investment.
It's like a squatter moving into your attic before the paint on your new house is even dry.
That's a great way to put it.
They rush to get in through a cracked window. But once they are in, they aren't smashing the place up and demanding a ransom.
No, because that gets them caught.
Exactly. They're just quietly copying your diary every single night.
That is a perfect way to visualize it. Setting off alarms with a loud ransomware demand might get you a quick one-time payout.
If the company even pays it.
Right, but it immediately burns your access. The company knows you're there, and they kick you out.
Obviously.
Threat actors have realized that staying hidden inside a corporate cloud environment, quietly siphoning off intellectual property or customer data or internal communications month after month, it's far more lucrative in the long term.
Well, and if staying hidden is the ultimate goal, it makes sense that we naturally turn to the absolute masters of the long game.
The state-sponsored espionage groups.
Exactly. And the Google report details some campaigns that, frankly, read like a spy novel.
They really do.
They mention attackers using traditional phishing emails, but also vishing, which is voice phishing.
Oh, vishing is incredibly effective.
This is where the hacker literally calls you on the phone, impersonates your IT help desk, and tricks you into handing over your identity.
And once they have that initial foothold, their ability to remain undetected is truly alarming.
Yeah.
Now, we are impartial observers of the intelligence here, but the geopolitical origins Google attributes these attacks to really highlight the massive scale and patience of the threat.
Yeah, we should look at the specific examples the report names because the timelines are just wild.
They are.
So Google tracked a state-sponsored group out of Iran, UNC 4049.
Yes.
They used stolen VPN credentials and a piece of custom malware called MiniBike to stay inside a target environment for over 2 years.
2 full years.
2 years. They stole nearly a terabyte of proprietary data.
Incredible patience.
And then there's a China-sponsored actor, UNC 5221, who used Brickstorm malware to infiltrate VMware vCenter servers.
Right.
And they maintained access for at least 18 months to steal valuable source code.
Yeah, 18 to 24 months is a staggering amount of time to be inside a network.
But let me push back here, though.
Sure.
18 to 24 months.
Yeah.
How does an entirely foreign government operate inside a company's core servers for 2 years without tripping a single wire?
It's a great question.
Are these companies just, like, failing to monitor their own networks?
It is less about companies failing to look and more about the terrifying reality of advanced persistent threats, or APTs.
Okay.
These elite groups do not install glowing red, highly suspicious hacker software that a standard antivirus program is going to easily flag.
They don't want to stand out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They practice a technique called living off the land.
Living off the land, like a digital survivalist.
Exactly like that. Look at the specific tools they compromise in those examples you just gave. Standard VPNs and VMware vCenter.
Okay, so VPN is how remote workers log in.
Right. And vCenter. That is essentially the central nervous system for a company's virtual servers.
So owning it means you own the keys to the entire kingdom.
Absolutely. These are the foundational, everyday tools that legitimate IT administrators use to manage the network.
Oh, I see.
By operating within those expected parameters, these state actors blend seamlessly into the daily background noise of a corporate network.
To the security systems, it just looks like an administrator doing their normal job.
Exactly. They are hiding in plain sight.
That is deeply unsettling.
It really is.
But it gets worse, because they aren't just targeting standard employees or IT admins anymore.
No, they've moved up the food chain.
Right. If you want the absolute deepest level of access without setting off alarms, you actively hunt the people who build the systems from the ground up, the developers.
The developer targeting is perhaps the most alarming trend in the entire report.
And this brings us to an incredibly sophisticated intersection of social engineering and artificial intelligence.
Yes, because developers hold the ultimate keys to the cloud infrastructure.
So let's talk about the campaigns linked to North Korea.
They have a very specific, multi-pronged approach.
Right. First, there's a group, UNC 526 season, that accounts for a full 3% of all the intrusions Google analyzed,
And how do they do it?
simply by using fake identities to get hired for remote IT jobs.
It's wild.
They aren't hacking the firewall. They are literally passing the job interview and working there to secretly fund their government.
It is a highly effective, low-tech way to completely bypass perimeter security.
Yeah.
I mean, why spend months trying to crack a firewall when human resources will just mail you a company laptop and a login badge?
Exactly. But then there's another North Korean group, UNC 4899, and the heist they pulled off is just mind-blowing.
Oh, this one is a breathtakingly complex attack chain.
It really is. The report details how they tricked a developer into downloading a fake open-source project.
The developer thought they were just collaborating on some code.
Right. Can you walk us through the actual mechanics of how this attack chain works? Because it seems like an incredibly complex trap.
It is. So the developer downloads this fake project onto their personal Mac computer.
Okay.
Then, out of convenience, the developer uses Apple's AirDrop feature.
Just a standard feature.
Right. They use it to transfer this file from their personal Mac to their highly secure corporate PC.
Which instantly bypasses the corporate email filters and network firewalls.
Exactly. They have bridged the gap without any alarms going off.
Oh.
The developer then opens this project in an AI-assisted integrated development environment, an IDE.
This is the software developers use to write and test code, right?
Right. And hidden inside this project archive is malicious Python code pretending to be a normal Kubernetes command line tool.
Okay, and just to clarify for the listener, Kubernetes is essentially the complex orchestration system that keeps all of the company's cloud applications running smoothly, right?
Correct. It is a highly trusted, deeply embedded system.
So it looks totally normal.
Exactly. So the developer's AI tool processes this fake Kubernetes file. Once triggered, this malicious code phones home to the hackers.
Acting as a backdoor.
Yes. From there, the hackers use a technique called lateral movement.
Moving laterally, meaning they aren't just going up and down in their own little infected folder. They are spreading out sideways to other machines on the network.
Yes. They hijack high-level service accounts, and they manage to break out of their containment.
Okay, breaking out of containment, I imagine that's like a bank thief realizing the safe they are locked inside is actually situated inside a much larger bank vault.
Right.
And they find a way to slip through the air vents into the main building.
That is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Cloud environments use containers to isolate applications from each other so that if one gets hacked, the others are safe. Breaking out of that container gives them access to the wider network.
And from there,
From there, they found insecurely stored database credentials and ultimately stole millions of dollars in cryptocurrency.
This is the ultimate modern Trojan horse,
It really is.
because the horse isn't a suspicious email attachment claiming you won the lottery anymore.
No one falls for that anymore.
Right. It's a collaborative, professional, open source project. But it really begs the question, if developers, the people who theoretically know the most about how this technology works, are falling for this, what hope do the rest of us have?
That is the crucial insight of this entire section.
Yeah.
The attackers are not attacking the machine anymore. They are attacking the developers' trust in their own ecosystem.
Wow.
Developers inherently trust open source code repositories. They trust their AI coding assistants to help them work faster.
So by poisoning that well.
Exactly. By poisoning that well, the attackers are leveraging the developer's own authority to deploy the attack for them.
And we saw that exact poisoning the well tactic in the Swingularity attack from August 2025, which the report details at length.
Oh, the Swingularity attack was devastating.
In this case, attackers hijacked an NPM package.
Right.
For context, an NPM package is a pre-written chunk of code that developers routinely download and plug into their own software to save time.
Happens millions of times a day.
Yeah. And this specific package was called Quiet Vault. And here is where the AI element becomes completely weaponized.
This is where the timeline of the attack becomes critical. Walk us through what they did once they compromised that package.
So, using AI prompts and local command line tools, the attackers stole GitHub security tokens.
Okay.
They used those tokens to create a fake Amazon Web Services admin account by exploiting something called OIDC trust.
Which basically tricks the cloud into thinking they were a pre-approved trusted system.
Exactly. Then they stole cloud storage data, and then they completely wiped the company's production environment.
Completely destroyed it.
Yeah. And they did all of this in just 3 days. Sensitive info from over 2,180 accounts and 7,200 code repositories was leaked.
3 days from initial compromise to total destruction.
It's so fast.
It completely contradicts the slow and silent approach of the espionage groups we talked about earlier.
Right. It shows that when destruction is the goal, these automated AI-assisted tools allow them to move at a terrifying speed.
Absolutely terrifying.
But this brings us to another highly uncomfortable truth in this report.
The insider threat.
Yeah. We've spent this whole time talking about external actors tricking employees. But what happens when the employee is the threat actor? The threat coming from inside the house.
Insider threats have always been the ultimate nightmare scenario for security professionals.
Oh, for sure.
But what Google's data shows is that the methodology of the insider has evolved just as rapidly as the external hackers.
Yeah, the report shows that insiders are completely ditching the old methods.
They aren't using thumb drives anymore.
Right. They aren't trying to smuggle out physical USB thumb drives or email massive zip files to their personal Yahoo accounts.
Too easy to catch.
Exactly. They're using standard company-approved cloud services, Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, Azure, Apple iCloud, Dropbox, OneDrive to steal the data.
And the numbers are shocking.
Google analyzed 1,002 insider data theft incidents.
Right.
255 of them were terminated employees trying to take something with them on the way out.
Which you might expect.
Yeah. But a staggering 771 occurred while the insider was still actively employed.
Still actively on the payroll, stealing data. And Google explicitly predicts that these cloud services will soon fully replace email as the preferred method for data exfiltration across the board.
They also note that these malicious insiders are increasingly deleting backups, wiping system logs, and destroying forensic evidence to cover their tracks.
They're getting very sophisticated.
So what does this all mean for a security team? The modern digital heist isn't a guy sneaking out of the building in the dead of night.
No.
It's an employee quietly syncing a Dropbox folder at their desk in broad daylight while sipping a latte.
Exactly.
How on earth do you spot an attack when the attack looks exactly like someone doing their normal job?
This is perhaps the most difficult question for corporate security today. How do you balance productivity with protection?
Right.
Implementing data protection isn't just about deploying a firewall to block foreign hackers. It's about the deeply messy reality of managing human trust. Traditional security looks for broken rules, like a known malware signature trying to execute.
Okay.
But when an employee uses an approved, company-licensed tool like Google Drive to steal data, no rules are technically broken.
So the security software just gives it a green light.
Exactly. Which means you have to shift entirely to behavioral analysis.
Behavioral analysis.
Yeah. You aren't asking, is this action allowed? You have to ask, Is it normal for this specific employee to download 3 gigabytes of proprietary source code at 2:00 a.m. on a Sunday?
Which requires an immense amount of data processing to establish what normal even looks like for thousands of employees.
It's a massive undertaking.
It really is. And it brings us to the ultimate question of this deep dive.
Yeah,
How do we actually defend against any of this?
that's the million-dollar question.
The speed of the vulnerabilities, the stealth of the state actors, the invisible insider threats. The Google report is brutally clear about one specific reality. Manual response is dead.
Completely dead.
Human beings simply cannot react fast enough anymore. They noted instances where malicious payloads were deployed within 1 single hour of a new cloud server being created.
1 hour.
Yeah.
By the time a human security analyst gets the alert on their phone, finishes their morning coffee, and logs in to investigate, the data is already gone.
Wow.
The evidence is wiped and the attacker has vanished. Automated incident response is no longer a luxury for big tech companies. It is absolutely mandatory for survival in the cloud environment.
And looking ahead to the rest of 2026, the report predicts the threat landscape is only going to intensify.
Oh, without a doubt.
They point out that geopolitical conflicts, massive global events like the upcoming FIFA World Cup and U.S. midterm elections are going to act as massive magnets for malicious cyber operations.
They always do.
Which is why this matters to you, listening right now. You might think, I don't run a corporate cloud network. I don't use Kubernetes. Why should I care?
But you are connected to all of it.
Exactly. Every app on your phone, every cloud backup that stores your family photos, the banking systems that hold your money, the healthcare portals that hold your medical records, they're all built on this infrastructure.
Yep.
They're all sitting on this invisible battlefield.
We are all participants in this ecosystem. And if human response is truly dead and we have to rely entirely on automation to defend these systems, it leads us to a fascinating and frankly somewhat terrifying conclusion.
Where are we heading?
Well, we saw in this report that hackers are already using AI prompts to rapidly execute attacks.
Right.
And they are hiding their malicious code inside the very AI-assisted coding tools that developers rely on.
Yeah.
If attackers are increasingly using AI to write and execute their attacks at lightning speed, and organizations are being forced to use AI and automated algorithms to build their defenses just to keep up,
Oh, man.
are we rapidly approaching a moment where cloud security is no longer a human endeavor at all?
That's a crazy thought.
Are we entering an era that is just a silent, lightning-fast war of algorithms fighting algorithms in the dark, with all of your personal data simply caught in the crossfire? Something to think about.
It really is something to think about. The vault door isn't just cracked. The entire concept of the vault is evolving into something we can hardly recognize.
Very true.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. Stay curious, stay vigilant, and we'll see you next time.